You walked in and just the walls were papered with pictures, with paintings.
She wasn't constrained by anything that was conventional. She wasn't constrained by how much things were worth. She mixed things in a really brave way.
I think she was the first person I saw who didn't go by rules and regulations.
Patrick and Annabel were the ultimate maximalists.
They were always in my life.
My father was a colleague and great friend of Patrick's. Patrick was my brother's godfather and Annabel was my sister's godmother. I would definitely say that Patrick and Annabel were one of the most, if not the most influential of my parents' friends.
Amabel's parents were great friends of my parents, so I knew her from when I was growing up. And then when I came down to London to live, she sort of kept an eye on me and asked me round to her house, and that's where I met Patrick.
I first met Annabel and Patrick probably 40 years ago, and we became great friends. Very quickly, Lansdowne Road was such an extraordinary centre of fun.
It was always memorable because Patrick was very much a sort of devil-may-care sort of type, like an English adventurer.
He was a terrible tease, but he was completely charming. He liked people. He was enthusiastic. He was a proper yes person.
I'm not sure that I actually went in his Spitfire because the thing I remember was in the plane I went in was a biplane. Him suddenly saying, "Oh right, we're going to loop the loop now." Being absolutely petrified.
Everything was romantic with him.
If somebody asked me to say one word about Amabel, I would say colourful. She was colourful in every way, in the way she decorated her houses, the clothes she wore. She wouldn't be somebody who'd be looking at colours for ages, matching them up.
To describe the house in Lansdowne Road, you walked in and just the walls were papered with pictures, with paintings, watercolours, drawings, beautiful oil paintings.
The house on Lansdowne Road is the house that I have always wanted. When Amabel bought that house, it was very adventurous because the area at the time was not what it is now.
You know, it was very full, the house, full of stuff, which made it very friendly, very welcoming.
She absolutely combined old masters, beautiful pieces of furniture, things painted by family and friends, things made by Patrick.
But there's things I remember, like I was just looking at the little picture of the carnation. I remember that. Obviously, the wonderful Ivor Hitchens.
They attracted people really more from the arts than anything else. You know, you would definitely find David Hockney at the table.
Yes, she was an amazing hostess. You never quite knew who you'd run into. And in her gardens, this wonderful garden at Lansdowne Road too, where they had these wonderful parties, usually with Indian tents and just full of colour and life.
It's difficult to say what the legacy is when you have been so influenced by them yourself.
Well, I think they stood for anti-snobbery. They came from sort of quite smart upper-class backgrounds. They sort of did away with all that and welcomed people from all walks of life into their house.
I don't think she had any idea probably how creative she was. And I think it was her sort of openness and her freedom about everything from entertaining to collecting. You know, it was anti-everything probably that had been before in a formal way.
Patrick and Amabel were about living with lovely things in a warm, cosy way. And increasingly in this day and age, where people buy something that's so curated and have one or two things, they say that maximalism is coming back. Patrick and Annabel were the ultimate maximalists. And if maximalism is coming back, that is probably part of their legacy.